Well, hello there, everybody. What's going on? It's me, Generic Pie, and I'm back with another game for you today. It's been a little while. I've been on holiday. Haven't really had my head in the War of the Ring space for a little while. Um, but hopefully going to be making some more videos soon. I still need to play my League games, need to get back on the wagon. And what's prompted this was Commander Swift. I always have to say it in that voice. Commander Swift sent me a replay the other day of a game that he played against bhilly. And I don't know much about the game other than the fact that the file is called, I think it was like Java Chaos. And apparently some just mad stuff happens. So that's exciting. Um, so yeah, let's jump into this episode of Peepin Tom Bombadil and see what goes on in this exciting edition of War of the Ring. All right, so Commander Swift was playing as the Free People. Bhilly was playing as the Shadow. Two good players that are both. Oh my god, they've both been on the channel before. Quite the role for the Shadow. Oh my god. Okay, I can see why you sent me this game. And a very nice role for the Free People, on the other hand, you know. In terms of cards, though, the Free People has stinky poo-poo cards to start with. The Daylight, okay, but not good at cards at all. However, the Shadow does have good cards, so if you're going to get this absolutely horrendous starting role for the Shadow, at the very least, you can play Shadows on the Misty Mountains. You can start drawing some cards, maybe play some other good cards. So that is somewhat slightly balanced out the insanely bad starting role for the Shadow. And Commander says, "Dear Lord." Oh, and by the way, the Free People did bidding, and the Free People are starting with 2 tokens. So, Commander Swift uses a token instantly to draw a card. I think that's a good choice because it means that you can get maximum value from this Palantir. And that's especially good because Commander Swift is drawn into Thranduil's Archers, which means it can now be played and 2 more cards can be drawn. So that is very nice for the Free People. But he passes, does a little face. I get it. Yep, that hurts. Draws Stormcrow. Okay, so not really usable just yet. Naturally, Commander Swift plays Thranduils, as he is wont to do. Draws into Kid and Ships, a great card, but not now. And Grimbjorn, so a Scouts, and, you know, a useful, potentially useful card if you know, you want to buff up the little man who normally holds Old Forest Road alone. Maybe you can bring some buddies with him to hold Old Forest Road. And Billy says, a very nice turn. Yeah, that's a fantastic early card there. Another fantastic early card is Shadows on the Misty Mountains. So that's very good for bhilly. The Fellowship moves. They are hit on the first move. And it's an I. Okay, question is, do you kill Gandalf for a single? In a game such as this, I would not. Because the Shadow is going to be very slow. And you can't get Gandalf anyway using this will. So I think I would probably just keep my powder dry and keep the wizard alive. But killing him is also very reasonable. Billy says, now I have a chance. Yeah, that was really big for the Shadow, getting that hit on the first move. Commander Swift does decide to kill Gandalf. The real positive of doing this is that you can use this mustard die to hide using Aragorn's ability, and then you can move again. So that's the real benefit. But Commander Swift changes their mind, decides to eat the corruption. I think that's on measure probably the smarter play. I think if the Shadow had a lightning fast start, then I'd be far more inclined to kill Gandalf and get that show on the road. But with this kind of start, ooh, okay. And Billy retorts by playing Breaking of the Fellowship. Breaking of the Fellowship isn't always a card you want to play before the Fellowship is in Mordor. However, if you are going to play it, the best time to play it is probably pre-Moria. If you play it after Moria, you can actually weirdly hurt yourself a little bit, you can spread a bunch of hobbits popping up into Lorien, into Helm's Deep, and just maybe you send, like inadvertently Boromir gets into Minas Tirith and starts causing you some pain. However, if you use it before Moria, the only real thing that the free people can do is either buff up Rivendell or send, it can potentially lead to an early Fearfire foes, but only if the free people actually draw Fearfire foes. So the standard play here would be to remove the 2 hobbits. So there's a little thinking going on here. And decides to save 1 hobbit, okay, and also get rid of Legolas. So I wonder what the thinking is there. Is that so you can, I don't know, get Legolas into Rivendell and then, use another die to get the elves down or something like that? I'm not sure. Yes, and because composition of the Fellowship has changed, that means that the guide can also be changed, which is quite useful. So Strider can now become the leader of the Fellowship. So that's actually really nice for the free people. And Commander Swift says, lovely, thank you. Such friendly play on the server. The Fellowship is flipped. Morgul Wound is drawn. And the Fellowship moves again. Yep. So let's see what happens here. Oh, hit again. Rough. It's a 2 reveal. Bit awkward because, I mean, you could take a random here because that's a good tile to kill Gandhi for. And you don't mind losing any of these other schmucks. It's a 1 in 5. I might take a random here. Doesn't feel great to be getting up to 3 corruption. And there's also a chance you kill Gandalf, which is actually a real positive. It is risky, though. It is risky. Commander Swift decides to eat the corruption. Okay, we'll see if that comes back to bite Commander Swift later on. Because it could be a little bit awkward. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, being on 3 net corruption plus having already lost 3 corruption to breaking effectively. That's not ideal for a corruption standpoint. Anyway, so Isengard goes to war and we end turn 1. A very interesting, dramatic turn 1 there. Orc Patrol and a New Powers Rising are drawn for the chef. Excellent cards overall. I think Orc Patrol is especially useful in this situation. New Powers Rising is a very, very powerful early card. Meanwhile, the free people get Wizard Staff and Danes. Okay, Gandalf is still in the Fellowship, so Wizard Staff might actually, well, depends how badly you want to kill Gandalf. That's the thing. But it could be useful for getting through Moria, given the damage the Fellowship has already taken early in the game. So we'll see how. I think that's going to depend very much on the dice whether you decide to play Wizard Staff or not. Gandalf once again takes over the reins of the Fellowship, and let's see what the rolls are. They're going to be as absurd. Okay, bhilly decides to put 2 eyes in. Given the corruption, the slow military, and the strong corruption start, I think that makes a lot of sense. Marginally better roll for the significantly better roll. It means that bhilly can get a minion, can actually get some armies going. Don't really love getting 2 character dice at this stage, but could be, if you really want to go hard corruption, could go Orc Patrol and Morgul Wound. Meanwhile, the free people get a varied but unspectacular roll. Oh, Gandalf does not stay leader of the Fellowship, so because they're hidden. Okay. So playing it a little bit safe, does not want to risk getting stuck. I don't know. Well, I can see the logic. And it's worked out quite well, given only 1 movement was. Otherwise, the free people would have had to have used a ring to even move this turn. So that's worked out nicely for Commander Swift. bhilly gets the rerolls. Very smart. Also moves armies into Golgoroth. Free people passes. Army moves to Morannon. Wizard Staff is played. Yep, as I said earlier. So I've never actually seen this played when Gandalf is not the leader of the Fellowship. So it doesn't matter Doesn't matter at all that Gandalf is not the leader, as long as he's in the Fellowship. So that works out great. Good play by Commander Swift. Yeah, but Commander Swift needed that. Yeah, I think that is, because of the way the dice have fallen, you're only moving once. I think it makes a lot of sense. Although, what's likely to happen here is Commander Swift's going to move once, then Bhilly's going to play Orc Patrol, and there's a reasonable chance, about somewhere around 30-40% chance of the Fellowship getting revealed into Moria. Saruman comes into play. The Fellowship moves. They are not hit. So, Wizard Staff doesn't get used. Orc Patrol is indeed played, as I said it would be. Now, do you use the staff on the Orc Patrol? That's interesting. I mean, there's obviously a chance of an eye being hit. I think in this situation, with Strider as guide, it's really awkward. 3 is really awkward, and all of these are terrible. So everything's kind of awkward. I think I would definitely use the Wizard Staff. Yes, yep. Decides to, interestingly, use this to play Danes. I don't like using hybrids to play cards, to be honest. And since Danes... The reason I think that Commander Switch is doing this is because he doesn't want to waste any cards. But I would be much more inclined to, throw away a Challenge of the King next turn. And actually use this to just do some kind of admin moves. Hybrids are quite valuable. I would have just done some, standard Edorast at Western Met, maybe the Arthros Red guy, maybe this guy into Erebor. So yeah, I think that might come back to bite Commander Swift, that play. Ranan moves up to Daggerlad. Commander Swift, and we finish the turn, and cards are drawn. 3 people draw Aomer and Elven Rope, and the Shadow gets Many Kings to the Service of Mordor, and on they went. It's just a single eye this time, because the 3 people are going to move straight away, I would assume. So the second eye doesn't have quite as much value. Okay. The 4 eyes, however, will have quite a lot of value. if Bhilly can actually roll a 6. Not that it matters, because the 3 people apparently aren't going to be moving this turn. Now you're in an interesting situation here, because the 3 people is teetering, hanging over Moria. But since the Shadow doesn't have any characters or Palantir, you actually don't need to worry about a card such as Isildur's Bane being played or whatever, and then the Fellowship getting revealed into Moria. So probably a turn where, as a 3 people, you simply don't move. You just kind of get some army stuff done, play a blue tile or something like that, and it's more of a kind of administrative turn. But in the grand scheme of things, this might actually favour the Shadow even more, maybe, because the Fellowship isn't going anywhere. But having said that, the Shadow ain't getting much done either, so probably going to benefit the 3 people more than the Shadow, in fact. Okay, 3 people do decide to use a ring to move. This could go either way. I mean, it's a good play if Billy doesn't roll any 6s. Great play, Commander Swift. Oh, fucking hell. I just realised that the camera's frozen. Okay, well, I've started recording now, so you're going to have to deal with my frozen face for the rest of the recording. Right, so Sauron goes to war. Aomer is played. I need a new webcam. So yeah, all my stuff about, hybrids are so valuable, you need to use them. Yeah, so that's backfired. It's actually been really... because Commander Swift immediately rolled an absolute ton of hybrids. So now that actually looks excellent, because you can move this big army from Erebor over to Helm's Deep. Southron start heading towards war. Gondor is also starts going towards war. I'm going to try and fix my webcam and split this together. 1 second. Okay, and we're back. I figured out how to do that. Cool. So where were we? The Southrons were fully at war. the Edoras army marches to Western Met, and Iron Hills goes to Erebor. So Erebor is now super stacked. Helm's Deep's going to be super stacked. This is going to be a hard game. Very, very difficult game militarily for the Shadow. Hence, I think that bhilly has been going really hard on corruption. Because where are you going to get your victory points at this point? You know, because... Oh, it's frozen again. Great. Okay, fingers crossed that will be better and I won't keep freezing. Anyway, so, as I was saying, Woodland Realm's going to be tricky. Well, trickier than usual because it's been buffed. The Rohan's going to be difficult. Little does bhilly know, but it's obviously possible that Círdan ships could make Gondor very difficult. Erebor's buffed. It's just going to be a really grindy kind of military game, if that's what it comes down to for the Shadow. So yeah, going to be hard for bhilly. Right, so these schmucks, where are we going from? Okay, so this army's moving over from here to Dimble Dale, preparing to put Lorien under siege. Meanwhile, armies start moving from Nirharad to Nirharad. Axe and bow is drawn. And we go on to turn number 4. Right, so bhilly threw away something there, but now has fighting Uruk-hai and probably some kind of rubbish character card that he must have drawn. Meanwhile, Power of Tom Bombadil and Axe and Bow. Axe and Bow has some value here. You know, corruption is an issue for the Fellowship, potentially. Power to Bombadil, less useful. And the Fellowship declares in Dimble Dale. Okay, so that's another reason why bhilly did that play, I suspect, because he knew that the Fellowship was going to reveal into Dimble Dale. So yeah, smart play from bhilly. Was going to move this army at some point anyway, but has kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone there. Right, okay, so a much, much better role for bhilly here. And potentially a good role for getting Gandalf, the white. The question is, do you want to be hit? Is sit on that reroll? That's great play from bhilly, getting that reroll, eking it out. Gandalf ain't going to die anyway because it's a 0 reveal. Classic orcs, says bhilly. Up to their usual orky mischief. Morgul Wound is played for full value. Excellent. That's kind of a dream situation for bhilly. Gets the reroll. Doesn't kill Gandalf on a turn where the free people have the will showing. And then also, because it's a 0 reveal, manages to get perfect value for Morgul Wound, taking it up to 5 corruption. That's just beautiful. Beautiful for the Shadow, you know. You know, people say this game is about luck. It is about luck, but like, bhilly made his own luck by doing that. That's just excellent play. You know, if you hadn't done that, the Fellowship wouldn't have been hit. They probably would have got less value for Morgul Wound. And, you know, it's just like the little tiny details do have a knock-on effect. Although, obviously, you can just get absolutely, you know, blasted by Java as well. So it does go both ways. And as Commander says, that 0 was the worst possible tile. Yeah, really, really was. New Powers Rising is played. So that's interesting because the will, which the free people might want to use to move a second time, maybe bhilly will pressure them to by attacking towards Helm's Deep. Is that a good play? Is that a good idea? Not sure, but it's an option if he wants to try and, you know, toy with the free people's dice a little bit. Armies start marching towards Gondor and to Lorien, respectively. Command Swift decides to use the token. That's interesting. Okay. Starts to move Rohan towards war. All right. Okay. So the one... Is that worth the token in this situation? It does mean that that you can get Rohan all the way to war this turn. Actually, no, you can't because they haven't been activated. God, the Witching is going to be so late this game. He already is super late. Just late kind of companions and minions all round. Everyone's late except Saruman. He's just like, where the hell is everybody? Yeah, so I'm not sure about that, but I suspect Commander Swift with the smiley face has some kind of idea up his sleeve. We shall see. Oscidia, so it looks like is bhilly going to try and get the Witch King via an attack into attack on Gondor? That looks like the plan. Yep, since Gondor have already been moved one step towards war, that is going to allow a lot of mustering. So the rolls are, they do, bhilly gets 2, which is great. Only 1 back from Commander Swift. So very, very good stuff. Gondor's now at war. So bhilly knows that this means that there's going to be lots of potential mustering in Gondor. But I think at this stage in the game, bhilly doesn't care. He just wants to get the Witch King, probably again prioritizing corruption. And in order to cycle those character cards, kind of needs to get the Witch King involved, start, doing stuff, and just having the Witch King is awesome in general. So yeah, prioritizing that over the potential mustering that the free people can do in Gondor now. So yeah, naturally musters in Minas Tirith. bhilly does still have a ring though. Yeah, so I thought that would be the place. He doesn't want to get Minas Tirith to get out of hand, so the ring has a lot of value. So the only mustering that will be able to be done will be in Dol Amroth. bhilly doesn't have Corsairs, so maybe it's just kind of not as bothered about that at this stage. One in Lossarnach, interestingly, and another in and the leader in Dol Amroth, which kind of signals like, hey, I've got kid and ships, which isn't activated yet. A little bit risky to do that when the elves are nowhere near war. There's an outside chance that you don't roll any musters and then bhilly gets Corsairs and just blasts into Dol Amroth next turn. But you're probably okay. You're probably okay. Decides to muster in Pelargir instead of Lossarnach in the end. The Witch King comes into play. Probably going to MT, I guess. Yep. And then with the final will, the Fellowship is flipped, which is nice because that means that the Fellowship can move first thing next turn before bhilly gets any sneaky extra rerolls or anything like that. So we go on to turn number 5. Return of the Witch King and Balrog and Moria are drawn. Good time for Balrog as the Shadowers are soon to attack into Lorien. Return of the Witch and some bats is always decent. Very, very overdrawn hand here for the free people. Mirror of Galadriel. That could be good if Gandalf ever feels like dying. Wisdom of Elrond's fine. Going to be tricky to know what to get rid of here. Probably get rid of Power of Tommy Bombadils and +1. Gets rid of Bombadil and something else. I'm not sure what that one was, but anyway, it was nothing important. All right, so really wanting to kill that wizard this turn, to be honest, because being stuck on 4 dice forever is not great, even if you are currently favoured. You do need to get that Fellowship bloody moving. bhilly does hit, and really nicely, yeah. So that actually benefits the free people more than it benefits the shadow, weirdly. You would obviously prefer not for it to be an eye tile. That's quite annoying. Yeah, would definitely have loved a 3 there. That's very awkward for the free people. So has to kill Gandalf for a 3. And then you look at this pool. There's still 3 3s left in there. Corruption's quite high. Fellowship isn't that stacked. Awkward. Very, very awkward. The real cruelty happens now. Says bhilly. Okay. Oh yeah, they're talking about Day Without Dawn. That would have been absolutely savage, but luckily for Commander Swift, it's not an option. So bhilly starts mustering in North Dunland, which implies that could be trying to get Rivendell under siege this turn. Looks like a very good turn to do that, because if that is indeed the plan, because there's no way the elves are getting to war this turn. So it could be a great turn to do a little kind of a get Lorien under siege, and also do a pincer on Rivendell. Not going to have a particularly big army. Could muster one more elite, but just having this army sitting on Rivendell, you can kind of just sit on it and then use forward mustering cards later in the game. You know, Ologai, Half Orcs and Goblin Men. Maybe later on you get like a power, you know, Shadows Gather, and you move reinforcements from Moria. Like, I think it's worth the value of getting it under siege while you can, and it's impossible to reinforce. And then just, you know, actually killing it later. You know, Kindred would hurt, but even that's not the end of the world. In this game, bhilly needs to take down cheap strongholds, and it's not going to get a whole lot cheaper than Rivendell, even if it is buffed. Also has the South Dunlanders. Okay, wasn't thinking of that. Even better. Very, very good. Yeah, very good play from bhilly. Minas Tirith is attacked. So I'm guessing bhilly wants to just use some... Use some cards. Get some card cycling going on. Does use a strategy card. Doesn't really have any decent... wait, yeah, so let's see what goes on. So we've got Daylight against Swarm of Bats, so a good Swarm of Bats there. bhilly is rolling Hot, 3 hits, very, very good. Commander Swift is rolling the opposite of Hot, and gets 0 back, so there's an exceptionally good combat for the Shadow. Extremely lucky. And Minas Tirith is now looking pretty pathetic. Shadow comfortably looking like the favourite to take this down now, especially if that kind of luck continues. bhilly wisely decides to stop. I think you don't need to rush that just yet. Doesn't cycle into Relentless Assault. Okay, so isn't prioritising getting Rivendell under siege just yet. Maybe bhilly's looking elsewhere. But I would still think Rivendell's the optimal target. The only problem with Rivendell is that the free people can get all these assholes. I'm being rude. Legolas and Hobbit, Pippin, you're not assholes. You're great guys. These great guys can just, you know, if you get a Gwai here or you have a throwaway character die, you can pop them into Rivendell. Suddenly Rivendell's a lot harder to take. We'll see what bhilly decides to go for. So in this combat, what's the best option here? Could go for a Great Host. That might work. That may well work. You got 2 Great Hosts, or you could just go for the Relentless and just try and blast it down. Meanwhile, I think this is an optimal time for Confusion, and then maybe Heroic Death to follow up. Yep, Relentless Assault. Yes, he's going for the Relentless, which I think is solid, and then you use the Great Host after, assuming the Relentless goes reasonably well. bhilly, boy oh boy, that is you know, that's some beautiful dice. So 2 hits because of the Confusion, but that was a kind of quite remarkably good Minas Tirith for bhilly, given the cards he used like weren't even that strong. You know, Relentless is good, but the Swarm of Bats, you know, just cancelled the Daylight. It didn't even actually reduce the... Oh, okay. And now Gandalf the White comes into play in Fangorn. A wizard is indeed late. bhilly starts setting up for future moves. All right, so the Witch King starts heading towards Pelargir. Does Commander Swift muster in Pelargir here? Yes, he does. Okay, so this is an interesting one because, as I was saying before, very much signalling that he's got kit and ships. I wonder if there's going to be a world where next turn bhilly can actually delay getting the elves to war, so he can just combine these armies, take down Dol Amroth before kit and ships can be played. It's unlikely, but if I was bhilly, there would be an alarm bell ringing. It really just depends how many musters Commander Swift rolls, because it wouldn't work if he rolls a bunch of musters next turn. Stormcrows pushes Rohan back. Interesting. Okay. Kills a leader in Ford's Vyzant, and now puts Lorien under siege. Okay. So that's handy in case Power to Great was drawn, something like that, which might have actually allowed potential mustering in Lorien, maybe. especially as he. Okay, you do have um, one army card, so that wouldn't have quite worked. But anyway, the fellowship is flipped, and with the final character die, sorry, Palantir, we put in a red tile. On we go to turn number 6. Another red tile is drawn. Olokai is drawn. That could be very handy for Rivendell. At some point, Orcs Multiplying again was drawn, probably card cycling. Meanwhile, we get House of the Stewards and Kindred of Vorfindel. Kindred is actually very, very useful here. 3 eyes in the box, thanks to 2 being rolled by bhilly. Meanwhile, a painful roll for the free people. Commander Swift has already had to use a ring due to not rolling a single movement on a previous turn. Might have do the same thing here. bhilly says woof. Stats wise, okay, I was going to say you're definitely low on movement. -5 movement in 6 turns is very, very bad for the free people. Very, very bad. And it's starting to look like, you know, a game where corruption was the Shadow's best avenue for winning. Now it's starting to look like could be more of a comfortable military game, simply because the free people, those fellowships, those hobbits, they're not fucking going anywhere. They're just fucking having a picnic in Eastern Met. bhilly says the game does not like you. Kindred's played. That's nice. Draws into Celeborns. Hello. The game does like Commander Swift. You know, bhilly, you angered the Java gods immediately. Java gods did not like that. So Pelargir is attacked. No cards. Just to stop Pelargir being a pain. You want to get that victory point locked up, I presume. Decides to play an Onslaught. I think this is largely for card cycling purposes. Rolls 2 more 6s. Oopsie. Do not want to... Oh my god, zoom level. Go away. I don't want to set you. No one wants to set the zoom level. What I did want to do was check the stats to see if we can actually see the dice rolls, which we cannot. Okay. That was a waste of everyone's time. So, bhilly rolls very well. Gets 2 hits. Swifty gets 2 hits back. Are we going to do any post? Decides to do post with 2 guys. If this backfires, you're in trouble. Doesn't backfire because bhilly's rolling like a monster. Okay, the plan was to leave the Witch King behind anyway, so that... although if that had failed, you wouldn't have been able to leave the Witch King behind. And then... you could have then taken the mad risk of attacking. Well, not even that. It's just worth a shot, isn't it? And you could have taken a shot against you. But bhilly is a gambling man and cycles into Shadows Moving, which could be rather useful. I think it will be. Celeborn's played. Lovely stuff. What do we cycle into here? Path of the Woes is less useful, but you never know. Many Kings is played. Okay, that's good stuff. So this could be a situation where bhilly uses these armies to put Woodland Realm under siege. Could go for the... If the stars align, you could get the triple Elven strongholds under siege without much mustering going on. You know? You don't attack Lorien just yet. You attack into Rivendell the same turn you attack into Woodland Realm. Maybe that's doable. Both of these 2 mustering cards have been played. So, and certainly Woodland Realm looks preferable to going for Erebor at the moment. So that's potentially an option. Mustering happens in Dol Amroth. Another elite is mustered in North Dunland. Okay, that's interesting. bhilly's clearly thinking I'm gonna need a bigger boat to take down this thing. Another Rising Guard elite is mustered. Okay, so yeah, really just making a mega army. Slightly inefficient because this army's already moved 1 step, but bhilly wasn't counting on Kindred being played. Although bloody well, you got through almost half of the strategy deck, which is in only 6 turns, which is quite remarkable for the free people. Axe and bows put on the table. These armies join up. So yeah, better late than never, but I think that makes sense for bhilly. You just want to make sure that you can take this thing down, basically. It's going to, even though you waste half an army movement. It's going in the long run. It's going to massively pay off if you can just smoothly take down Rivendell. All right. So a ring is once again used to move the Fellowship. I think it kind of has to be done. You know, the only chance of the free people winning this game, by the looks of it, is through, unless we get some crazy Legolas and Hobbit action, is through dunking, and maybe you can get into Mordor next turn. You're very unlikely to get into Mordor next turn if you don't move now using a ring. So, of course, bhilly now gets the 3. Ugh, hurts like hell. I mean, I don't know what the 6s are. The 6s must collectively be very high. Yes, collectively they're +6. I expect that probably more than 6 of those are bhillys. They're probably like, +8, +10 or something like that on 6s. Certainly feels that way. Yeah, that's just brutal hunt sequencing. And then, just to rub salt in the wound, draws Strider. Oh boy. Having said that, in a game like this, you do probably need at least one efficient tile. Otherwise, if that had been a 1, and you'd had to keep creeping it up, that could have actually in the long run been worse for the Fellowship. I think losing Strider now sucks, but it does significantly reduce the chances of you just outright dying to corruption, after losing Gandalf to a 1 already and losing 3 corruption to breaking. So it's not as bad as it first appears. Does, however, mean that bhilly might just outright win militarily because you'll be too slow. Command says, I mean, I'm basically screwed this game, lol. Yeah, it does feel pretty bad. And because bhilly's played it quite smart, I don't think that he's bided his time in targeting strongholds, so to not give the free people militarily a chance to get too buffed up in advance. Maybe in earlier turns, it might have actually been worth getting the elves to war manually, rather than, I don't know, getting the 2 leaders in here when you're already holding Círdan ships. Maybe by getting the elves down yourself, you can activate Círdan ships and also force bhilly's hand in rushing into Rivendell before he's actually got a big enough army. Anyway, Denethor's Folly is drawn. Something else was thrown away, and probably a third of a character card. King Brands could be useful here. Bilbo Song could also be useful here. So these are 2 potentially useful cards. Late Gandalf, Bad Hunt almost the whole way. Yeah, been pretty rough riding for the free people. Okay, so command says so +6 on 6s. So I was slightly exaggerating earlier, but still +6 on 6s is quite, well, not just quite, very, very good. And the combat rolls have also been great. Yeah. Okay, well, if you have a diddly movement, it's all come at once. Has he drawn Day Without Dawn? No, he hasn't. He says, oh no. Yeah, that would be horrendous. Command Swift doesn't take any risks. Moves straight away. Missed. Play Shadows moving. Okay, that gets armies all into position. So yeah, okay, bhilly changes his mind. Decides to use an army die to do that. Okay. So it's clearly prioritizing. Wants to keep that Paladin to do something else. Not sure what that would be. We'll see. I presume maybe playing Fighting Urukai. Do we have a dude? No, you can't play it in there. But maybe if the Fellowship, I don't know, the Witch King moves somewhere else, wants to play Fighting Urukai this turn. That could be a nice use of a Palantir, or something else that we have not yet foreseen. Okay, as I said earlier, these nice guys, these really cool guys, have indeed gone into Lorien. Gives the free people some hope. Sorry, not Lorien, Rivendell. Gives them some hope of holding it. Activates all of these cards, such as makes Heroic Death a hell of a lot better. Could do a Fateful Strike if you're feeling very frisky. That could be very fun, but might effectively lose you the game because you won't have enough HP in Mordor. Okay. Also, Okay, so armies are getting readied to. Oh yeah, so this is actually perfect. This is exactly what I said earlier. So now Bahili's going to be able to get Woodland Realm and Rivendell under siege at the same time. So this is a very interesting juggling situation here because Bahili pretty much knows that he's got Kieran's ships. Still, good to have it under siege regardless. Is it worth trying to take this down before you get the elves to war? Is that possible? Maybe that's. I don't. I think you're pretty unlikely to do that against given the army sizes respectively. That would be the big brain play, but I think Bahili has to prioritize getting these these two strongholds under siege, and this is kind of like a bonus if you can get this down. Probably just take it slow, use Corsairs later on when you get it to buff it. Just you assume that he's got Corsairs, but this is just a target in a game which has very few targets, and you've got a big army here. Put Stalingruth under siege. Yep, very reasonable. Rivendell's put under siege. Yep, and he's going to presumably attack into here and then use a ring to attack into Woodland Realm. That's my guess. Fighting Uruk-hai is used on Rivendell. Yeah. So that was indeed the plan. Using it, but not using it in Lorien, using it in Rivendell. Okay, let's see how this goes. Is this going to backfire? He's got a Devilry, which is really handy, but that's kind of the only useful card here in combat. And he's not going to be able to cycle. So rolling 4 dice, it's the kind of fight that could backfire, but with this many HP, it's not going to mega backfire, and there's no minions that you can lose. So I think it's fine. But this is when Commander Swift desperately needs Bahili's dice to just swing back, and a bad fighting Uruk-hai is the kind of thing that could actually give Commander Swift a foothold in the game. Decides to go for the We Come to Kill. Interesting. Okay. Why not, I suppose? Gets 1 pre with the sudden strike. That's good. Bahili rolls. Yeah, here we go. The dice are starting to swing back. A mighty 0. Commander Swift, however, rolls 3 hits. Woof. Very, very good. Bahili gets a mighty 1. Commander said this might be the luck I was waiting for. Don't tempt fate, Commander Swift. You've spoken too early. There's still 2 rounds to go. But it is round 2. Here we go. Devilry of Orthanc is definitely getting played. Shield Ball. To be honest, yeah, this is about to get attacked. You're not going to be able to play King Brand, so playing a Shield Ball here is actually very valuable potentially. Bahili gets 1 hit. Oh, sorry, because of the Devilry, it's 1 hit, 2 hits. Wait, it's 2 minus 1, isn't it? Yeah, 2 minus 1, yep. So good value for Shield Ball. Very nice. 2 hits back. And how are we looking here? We've got 4 HP against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 against 4. Looks like this ain't going to fall. This ain't going to fall. But he gets A6, which is all right. You need some good rolls. Oh, and he's getting them. He's goddamn getting them. He's goddamn getting those rolls, boy. Okay, so yeah. I think on measure that was like a fine play by Bahili, but was it a play he needed to rush this turn? Maybe not, given, but it did go pretty much as bad as it could have gone. So yeah, by the law of averages, I think you probably normally take that down and get very close to taking it down and have more left over to spare. It's efficient dice usage, a gamble worth taking, but yeah, now could be an issue for the Shadow. Going to buy the Fellowship a lot of time potentially. So now, the real other thing is, can the Free People get into Mordor this turn? If the Free People can get into Mordor this turn, that would be huge. Let's have a look at the pool. It's pretty feasible, only rolling on 1 die. Just needs to not get revealed on that first move, and you're sitting pretty. You're sitting pretty. Maybe that's why Bahili went for it, because he was like, the free people are very likely to get into Mordor this turn. Need to just get some points on the board ASAP. Yeah, good job, Legolas. That was the right decision on that second action dice play of game. That extra combat die did work. Oh, so using the will to get these guys into Rivendell. Yeah, that made all the difference, having the Legolas in there to do the extra damage. Okay, so they're talking. An extra elite goes into Orthanc. Yeah, that's why I wasn't 100% sure about the we come to kill play, because I thought if this did fail, you'd at least have a we come to kill up your an Olokai up your sleeve to buff it next turn. But by using it in combat, you've kind of lost that ability as well. So yeah, anyway, that's just me. Western Met. What? What? You cannot go into Mordor now, you crazy man. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I guess it's a trade-off though, isn't it? Is it worth the trade-off though? Is that worth the trade-off? So basically what's happened is Commander Swift's trying to preempt what he thinks Bhilly's going to do. He thinks Bhilly's going to use these 2 dice to put Helm's Deep under siege this turn because he thinks that Bhilly will think he's committed to going to Mordor. But I think there's 2 downsides to this play. One, you could just wait, see what Bhilly does. You could move the Fellowship, see what Bhilly does. If then Bhilly does go into Vorzavizen, you've got a decision to make, right? You can then, but then you can just use it if you want to do this play. Just move the army directly into Helm's Deep, right? Because you've done the move first. Now there's no, because if Bhilly had just gone for Dale, which I think is probably what he's looking to do, get this army to put Woodland Realm under siege, that would be my priority, because I think this army isn't really big enough. A cheap Helm's Deep is nice, but when you've got a fat army here sitting, you know, which would then be at war, which could then charge into you. Imagine if you had help unlooked for, or something like that. It just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not sure about that play. Yeah, so I always thought that Bhilly was planning to get Woodland Realm into siege this turn. Probably, maybe Bhilly would have gone for Helm's Deep if he hadn't done this play. But I think getting the Bobbits into the Mordor has to be your priority. You've given up a whole turn of the game potentially. Really not sure about that play. 1 hit back from Dale. They press a little single reg goes into Woodland Realm. That's nice. First ship moves. They're hit. It's a 3 though, so they could have still got into Mordor. Presumably you just kill Axe and Bow and Gimli. Yep, very nice, very nice, very nice. Bhilly also starts mustering up the North Dunlandings. We go on to turn number 8. We get Corsairs of Umbar, which, yeah, Bhilly would have been counting on it sooner or later to help finish this bad boy, to buff this army up. Going to be very hard, though. Going to be very, very hard to take this thing down. I kind of almost want to do it in one go so that he can't use Círdan's. Lure of the Ring. Not bad. Meanwhile, the Fellowship, 3 people, sorry, get There Is Another Way. So you've got some lovely Mordor cards. If only you were in Mordor. If you lose by a single turn, I'm going to feel very bad for you, Commander Swift. Right. So 2 eyes are added to the box, 3 in total. And we get this roll for the 3 people. So you get into Mordor this turn. I think you've got to move straight away. Yeah, that's the other thing, like, now you're going to be scared of cruel weather as well, so you might be obliged to move twice, because there's a reasonable chance that cruel weather isn't, and if you don't get in this turn, you kind of have to move twice if you're not hitting the first move, because if he has cruel weather, you just cannot risk it, I don't think, because you just pretty much 100% lose the game, I think, if you don't get into Mordor this turn. Yeah, so a handy roll of the 3 people. First it moves, they're not hit, which is actually potentially good for Bhilly. Um, does, well, depending on how you look at it, it might push him to move twice, when then he's more likely to get hit on the second move. And that's another reason why, if you had the token, you wouldn't have to worry about it, because you'd at least know where you stand with Cruel Weather. Okay, now Lorien is going to be attacked, but Balrog will be played. Sorry, Durin's Bane will be played, probably against. Eesh, I don't know. This is just looking quite bad for the free people. Maybe Heroic Death. Whoa, playing the kid and ships, man. Okay, all right. I would be very, 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 very happy to see that as bhilly, because this army probably can't take down this on its own. But now what bhilly can do is do a big old attack with this army. You know, when it gets down to like 30% left, you probably take down half of this or something like that. Then you play Corsairs, you muster up a couple of Oliphants, you know, power up the Oliphant factory, then you play Corsairs, get the Oliphants in, reinforce, you finish it off. You know, this was probably a target that would have been borderline. Actually, let's have a look at the force pool. Ah, okay. Okay, that's slight. Okay, I get it a bit more now. Also because I'm guessing he's earmarking this Elven Elite for Woodland Realm, because he can now muster in here. Okay, fair enough. Take it back. Círdan's ships was much less useful because of all the mustering that had gone on elsewhere. Fair play. Right. Prius first. Commander Swift rolls like, okay, I take it all back, man. Commander Swift, you're a genius. You're the smartest guy in the world. You just played an excellent charge. Gets 3 hits on the pre. Unbelievable. bhilly, however, also gets 3. And those 3, yeah, and I was going to say, I'll take that trade any day. That is significantly better for the Shadow than it is for the free people, even though it's very useful for the free people. However, bhilly ain't rolling too hot, nor is Swifty. It's a bit of a dud combat so far. 1 hit against the free people, but now looking strong for the Shadow. Strong favourites to take this down, I would say. Presses and draws into Foul Stench. Let's have a look at the combat cards. Maybe you just go for the They Are Terrible or something like that. Yep. Which is a strong They Are Terrible, gets 2 hits. That should be enough to finish off Lorien, I think. Weren't there 2 hits against this? Yeah, he needs to take 2 more hits. Yeah. So yeah, just the one. That's right. I was going to say, like, these guys ain't that strong. So, and then bhilly rolls the number of the beast. 666, baby. And Lorien falls. Very, very good. Yeah. So this game is looking good for the Shadow. You'd think that in the time that the Fellowships can get into Mordor and move, I would suspect that bhilly using Corsairs and a bit of mustering in here can take down Dol Amroth +1. Maybe takes down Rivendell. If Rivendell had fallen, this game would be just a complete formality now. Maybe taking Woodland Realm looks doable. Yeah, probably the best bet. You know, see how this goes, and then based on how that goes, then do other stuff. Elven Rope goes in the pool. Mustering in Orthanc. Okay, so bhilly is not doing what I said at all, and is looking to target. Oh no, he's doing the full mustering. Okay, so he is that's to go for Rivendell. It's kind of two things at once, but primarily targeting Rivendell. Rivendell is the primary target there. The red arrow is played. Musters up in Edoras, and more mustering in North Dunland. Yep, so bhilly is once again going for Rivendell, trying to finish off those pesky fools up in Rivendell. Commander Swift starts moving Rohan down. This army moves down as well. Interesting. So is bhilly trying to... I think what bhilly might be trying to do there is take the 4 cities, maybe, as add an option. Because if he can get... The North are not at war. This army can comfortably take the Shire if he gets the right dice next turn. Yeah, taking down Edoras and the Shire, getting up to 8. That's probably the easier way than taking down any single stronghold, given the game state. And then you kind of whichever stronghold is most likely to fall. I think there's a fair chance of taking down Dol Amroth with Corsairs. Fellowship moves again because they have to, because of cruel weather, as discussed previously. They are hit. It's an eye. They are revealed. And another eye, so that's lucky. Yeah, that is good for the 3 people. And another red tile goes into the pool. Oh boy. So let's have a look at that pool. Well, we'll see it completed in a minute once we start turn 9. Fellowship gets file. That's good. Meanwhile, Shadow gets Rage of the Dunlendings. Very, very timely card. That is probably the card that bhilly wanted most. Gives some great options for either Rivendell or the Shire. I think now you'd certainly be eyeing up Rivendell, actually, with Rage. That's just so perfect. He's also got a really nice roll with quite a lot of attacks. Can use this to get the mouth. Fellowship can move a reasonable amount, but this could be a big turn for the Shadow. Fellowship hides. Candles is played. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. 2 hits, big. Files played. Let's have a look at that. As I said, I would. The pool is okay. I thought there were more red tiles in for some reason. I'd say a mixed pool. There's quite a lot of good tiles in there. A few horrible ones. Pretty even. Rage is played. Okay, does decide to go for the Shire. Okay, I thought maybe now that Rage was on the cards, that you would go potentially for Rivendell. However, given the meager force pool of the elves, what bhilly could potentially do is take the Shire and take Grey Havens with this army. That could be what he's thinking about, especially with half-orcs and goblin men to buff it up. Also, because there are no hybrids in hand, or sorry, musters in hand, I don't think that the 3 people can afford to use a will to muster in this situation. So, and if you muster an elf here, then you're not mustering an elf in Woodland Realms. So yeah, this could be interesting. Fellowship moves. Decent tile. Yeah, as I discussed earlier, going for the 4 cities. Okay, looks like he's going straight. Okay, going for the jugular, going for the Grey Havens. Take the Grey Havens first and then go for Shire. Guessing that's the idea here. Rather than the other way around, which could also leave you vulnerable to the Shire being retaken by North Downs or by Bree, or both. Okay, interestingly, because the Rohirrim are at war, decides not to move the Fellowship and instead to defend. Interesting, that could be redundant. If I was bhilly, I would play half-orcs and goblin men and then attack. There is a chance, however, that he uses a ring to muster again, and then you're obliged to attack because next turn he can muster again anyway. So let's see what happens here. Goes for Edoras, decides not to play half-orcs, decides to just go for it. Only rolling 2 dice. You know, you should be alright here, but if this could go badly. This could be another Rivendell. Bit risky. But he's using Foul Stench. Okay, good time to use Foul Stench, to be fair. Also a good time to use Shield Wall. Although, is he really going to roll 2 6s? We'll see. He is definitely not. No hits. 1 back. Presses. Oh, just going for it. Decides to run away. Okay, that's actually worked out really nice for bhilly, in the sense that he's taken it. It's going to be hard to take back, and the Witch King is safe. Greyhaven's put under siege. Yep. Uses a ring to hide the Fellowship and gets the mouth first so that he is up to 10 dice. Ooh, interesting game. Interesting game. Oh my god, bhilly did not want that. Well, having said that, let's see what the free people roll. Oh my god, this game is so stupid. I mean, that was exactly the turn when you're like, okay, let's just move once this turn. You know, the shadow probably can't win this turn, so we'll just move once. And by moving once, I can preserve the health of the Fellowship. Instead, you roll 5 character dice against 5 eyes. And, I mean, there's got to be, what, 4 eyes in there? 4 eyes. So we're now at a point where, like, 1 eye has you on the border of death. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I mean, Commander Swift could just go for it and get really, really lucky here and just win the game. I don't think he will. Gotta move. Gotta move. It's a file. Woof. All right. And bhilly says, well, this certainly went upside down. Well, it depends what happens next. Because if he hits 2 eyes, he's still dead, pretty much. Greyhavens is attacked. Can bhilly win the game this turn? That's another question. Well, he certainly can by taking this and then taking Shire. There's no way, there's no feasible way for the free people to defend Greyhavens and the Shire. The best chance the free people has of surviving this turn, I would say, is to defend Edoras. But in defending Edoras, he's also potentially leaving Helm's Deep quite open. So a bit of a kind of a game of chess going on. Decides not to play a card, undoes file. The shadow is going back in time to prevent all of the bad things that have happened. No, so instead he decides to move the leadership to Greyhavens. Doesn't want to risk. Also, I suppose what he's thinking is there's a chance this combat goes badly, or he has to. He basically needs to be able to attack using leadership into the Shire later. So if he loses all of his warg leadership, then at least he will have the leadership from the Nazgul to finish the job. That's what I guess he's thinking. Also thinking of using he's going to have a go at using Corsairs to finish this bad boy as well. So I think what bhilly's doing is keeping his options open. You know, in case he loses Edoras, then he can still take down, still get the victory by other means. Commander Swift's going for it. Commander Swift's going for it. I think we're going to see an eye now. Oh, it's a 3. Ooh, move and pray, move and pray. But we're in the situation where we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. An eye will just straight up kill the Fellowship. So working out so far. But the real benefit here is that all Commander Swift likely needs to do is survive this turn. And he can probably win next turn. Well, he's got no rings, so it's far from a guarantee. Far, far, far from a guarantee. The question is, does he stick or twist? You know, if he moves once more this turn and manages to avoid all the reds in the eyes, then he's got an excellent chance of winning next turn if he survives. If he does hit a red or an eye, especially an eye, I mean, if red might be okay, but an eye would be GG. So yeah. Now Greyhavens. Here we go. Goes for Devilry of Orthanc. Nice. Gets 3 hits. Greyhavens is dead. Very, very nice. Just what bhilly was looking for. That's what the doctor ordered. Up to 9 victory points. Commander Swift says, I don't think I have any choice here. I have to move. Very interesting. Okay, so if you move, you can then kind of, let's see what happens. I really hope that the game just doesn't end on this move. I hope it ends on the next move. That would be much more exciting. Okay. Oh, yes. Yes, okay. That is good. That is very good. That means that he can survive an eye. Billy uses a ring to change a Palantir into an army die. So that's interesting. So going for Dolamroth as opposed to going for the Shire. Is that because Bhilly thinks that he's almost certain to lose Edoras if he doesn't take Dolamroth? I'm guessing that's the logic. You know, because he can, if you use two character dice to move Fords of Eyes into Western Met and then attack into that, this just isn't going to hold. No way in hell. So he knows that the Shire is not a guarantee of victory. This is a natural potential way of winning the game this turn. Deadly Strife against a shield wall. Okay, he's got the double. Well, he hasn't got the double Deadly Strife. He's got the Corsairs. Some very decent cards here. Some very decent cards. What does a free pool have in defense? Heroic Deaths. Heroic Deaths. He can also use it there as another way to heal another point when he moves. Let's see how this goes. It's very exciting. Bhilly gets 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, -1. So 3 in total. Commander Swift gets 4, so you'd definitely be hoping for 5 there. Stop draw. So that really nicely sets up Bhilly for the Corsairs of Umbar to finish the job. 8 corruption if eye drawn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The risk he took by playing Bilbo's is that if he does get, well, I mean, I suppose if he gets an eye, he's screwed regardless, actually. So yeah, maybe Bilbo's, it's just all or nothing, right? Insta death. But wait, he can play. There's another way. Not instant death anymore. Oh, it's not going to be an eye, is it? Don't be an eye. Don't be an eye. It's a 1! Oh my god. So he has to eat it. Final move. Yeah, naturally Bhilly plays Corsairs. Chooses strategy card, character card. We come to kill against Heroic Death. Not the best we come to kill in the world, but I think he's saving the Muma kill for the next round, I guess. I can only presume as much. Do you lead with the Muma kill, maybe? Actually, no. Well, we come to kill is only ever going to be useful this round, so I guess that's the logic. Okay. So Bhilly gets 2 hits, but 1 will be blocked. Come on, so then he gets 1 back. This is looking very good for the Shadow. No hits on the post, though. Press draw. Mumakill's surely going to finish this. Okay, actually only 1 hit because of the shield wall. Okay, maybe a small chance for the free people. Gets 1 hit from the Muma, 2 from the Muma. So free people need to get 2 hits back, otherwise this is over for Dolamroth. Does not get 2 hits back. Mumakill finishes the job. And Bhilly is up to 13 victory points. It is going to come down to the final move in Mordor, as is the case in all the best games of Lord of the Ring. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hopefully there's a countdown. Oh my god. So it's almost, sorry, let's look at the pool. So yeah, in terms of tiles, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Win the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yes, it's like 5 and 11 to win the game. Yeah. And it's Elven Cloaks. Oh my god. Commander Swift, you've done it again. I'm not sure if you've done it before, but you've done it. What a crazy run. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, as a Shadow, if the free people roll 5 movement, you know, he only actually needed 4 movement in the end. Because I don't... Was there even a single reveal? I guess, well, a reveal would have been an eye, because it was Gollum, and the eye would have been GG. But there's nothing, literally nothing you can do. You can't defend against that. Game went from hating you to loving you. Yeah, didn't think you would go for Dolamroth in the end. Thought you'd go for Shire or Helm's Deep. Had Miracle combat cards. Yeah, I don't think Helm's Deep would have been a good choice because, an army this size against Ent cards can just melt very, very quickly. There's also the chance that he would just play an Ent card here. You'd have to move the whole army to have a chance of taking it down. Then Gandhi plays an Ent card. You lose all your leadership in boom. Yeah, I think going for Dolamroth made a lot of sense, especially because there was a chance of him taking back Edoras. And they have a big chat about it. And they say send against Jerpy. Yeah, I mean, what a game. Great, really, really cool game. Some kind of like points that came to mind. I do think that by the law of averages, Commander Swift should have gone for Mordor that turn because he needed an absolute miracle to win this turn. He might not have needed such a miracle if it'd been in Mordor a turn earlier. Like, you can't rely on an insane Mordor run because bhilly did get up to the victory points he needed to. I think it was, I mean, at the very least, delay the character use into Fords of Ison until you know what bhilly's going to do. There was no reason to rush that move. I think that was a mistake, and that gave bhilly a huge advantage. I'm not 100% sure I would have played the turn where bhilly played Fighting Uruk-hai. I'm not sure. That was when with the combat cards he had, and given the fact that Uruk-hai had a lot of value in reinforcing said stronghold, I think maybe you just wait. I know it was efficient dice usage that turn, but and there was a lot of upside. It would have probably won him the game if it had paid off. But just because, say you're the favorite in the game and you've got like an 80% chance of taking a stronghold by playing a card, but that card also has a 20% chance of like properly backfiring and screwing you. I think because of that factor, I think if bhilly had maybe just bided his time a little bit more and maybe even just using Fighting Uruk-hai the following turn when he had slightly stronger combat cards to use in that fight, I think that might have made the difference, because think about how much was invested in taking down Rivendell and it never fell. So I think that was the only thing I can think of there. But yeah, I think, great play by both players all over the place. It was a really, really fun game. Cool. That's it from me. Cheers for watching, everybody. I love you. Bye.